Hi, Dr. Weeks here again, and I need to talk to you about water. Tap water is toxic, and here's the first reason. Agricultural runoff. You know, these agricultural runoff, the petroleum and nitrogen-based fertilizers are getting into all of our groundwater. Unfortunately, almost all city water supplies are contaminated with it. We see it causing HABs, they're called harmful algae blooms. They're happening all over the country. In fact, they're happening in all 50 states. In my state of Ohio, they happened in Lake Erie and the Ohio River last year. And these agricultural runoffs are creating all sorts of endocrine disruptors. And so we're finding in nature a lot of animals are becoming hermaphrodites. In humans, when we're consuming water that has these agricultural runoff chemicals, we're getting endocrine changes. And this includes everything from infertility, this is a big one, to low sex drive, to damaging of our thyroid and our testosterone levels. And so one of the first reasons why we need to not be drinking tap water is the agricultural runoff. Now, in an effort to try to control all of these chemicals, city water supplies, they add their own chemicals to try to clean the first chemicals. And the first one they add is something called chlorine. Now, we all know about chlorine, but a lot of us don't realize how terribly toxic chlorine was. When I first read about the effects, I was like blown away scared. And so chlorine first started to be used during World War I as chlorine gas. And then soon after World War I, they realized that it had strong antibacterial characteristics. And so we started putting it in the tap water. Before this time, most people were drinking water from streams and springs, and as the population began to grow, we began to create municipal water supplies, and we started adding vast amounts of chlorine to the water. Here's the problem. The U.S. Council of Environmental Quality says the cancer risk among people using chlorinated water is as much as 93% higher than those who drink water that does not contain chlorine. They've shown that women who have breast cancer have collected a lot of chlorine in their breast tissues. These things accumulate in our body. And so when you begin to understand that chlorine is this toxic chemical that not only kills the bacteria and fungus and mold in water, it also does the same thing in our tissues. And then it accumulates. The first thing that you got to do is you got to clean your water of chlorine. This is really actually pretty easy. Almost all carbon-based filters will get it out of your drinking water. It's also very important that you get it out of your shower water. When water is heated, the chlorine turns into a gas. And this is where we literally breathe in chlorine gas, just like they did in World War I, and we get the chloroform in our bodies. And so it's really essential that you get a shower filter. They're available all over. The one I use is from a company called Aquasana. And so the first step is the chlorine has to go. The second thing is the fluoride has to go. Now this is more tricky. We've been putting this fluoride in our water for the last 80 years. And unfortunately, even to this day, there is no evidence whatsoever that sodium fluoride in our water actually protects dental health. The National Institute of Dental Health did a research study in 1990, the largest to date, on 39,000 children in over 84 cities. The results was that there is no statistical increase in cavities in non-fluorinated areas. I'm reminded of what Dr. John Eumeninus said, quote, "We would not purposely add arsenic to the water supply, and we would not purposely add lead, but we do add fluoride. The fact is that fluoride is more toxic than lead and just less toxic than arsenic." Nobel Prize winner Dr. James Sumner once said, "We ought to go slowly. Everybody knows that fluorides are very poisonous substances. We use them in enzyme chemistry to poison enzymes, those vital agents in the body. That is the reason things are poisoned, because the enzymes are poisoned, and that is why animals and plants die." Even Time magazine in 2012 listed fluoride in the top 10 most toxic household chemicals. And the last thing, which is really scary, is that fluoride lowers the IQ of people that consume it. Harvard University of Public Health posted a systematic review of 27 published studies on over 8,000 children and reported on environmental health perspectives. Here's what they said. Drinking fluorinated water lowers IQ by 7 points. All right, so here's how you keep you and your family safe. You have to have clean water. You have to have clean water to drink, and you have to have clean water to shower in and bathe in. And so my recommendation is multiple things. If you can get a whole house filter, that would be wonderful. The drinking water has to go through a reverse osmosis process. Simply filtering isn't enough to get out the fluoride. The only filter that gets out the fluoride that I know of is a filter called the Berkey filter. And so here's what I do. I have water delivered to my home in the form of spring water. And I also have a Berkey filter in my house, and I have a shower filter in my shower. And I know it's unfortunate and it's a little scary that water has become such a toxic substance in the world today, but with a little bit of knowledge, you can keep yourself safe.